Behind the Shades.
One lesson that I learned that was a very hard lesson was that sometimes there's going to be people who are not even going to care to the point where they may even talk down to it.
Yeah.
Have you dealt with people that have experienced that as well?
I deal with that a lot. I have a client. We've been working for a while, and she decided to launch her business. She's had this dream. She makes products. They're products that she sells on Etsy and in different places. And by the way, I'm sharing the story because she's given me permission to share the story. But her husband really hated the fact that she had this business. She's like, "Why can't you just get a job?" And she had this incredible hobby, something that she's incredibly talented at and feels passionate about, that she wanted to put out into the world and, hey, maybe make a couple extra $100 here and there. But what she found is that in the process, there's the regular difficulties that we encounter in building a business. Um, but now she also had somebody else telling him, "Hey, don't do that. Go do this, or you need to do this, and you'll never make money doing that." So she had to not only manage her own doubts, she had to manage the judgment and sabotaging words of somebody else who she respected and cares about, right? And then she had to navigate the regular hurdles that comes from being an entrepreneur. So it wasn't until she said, "You know what? I'm going to go all in. And the only opinion that's going to matter is the opinion of me. And I'm going to find evidence that people like what I do, that this is something that I can actually create income from." And when she started to create a daily action of noticing and looking at what she's able to gain, right, as opposed to noticing the gap. There's a book by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Harding called The Gap and the Gain. And this is a little bit of what I help a lot of my clients with. If we are looking at all the things that we're gapping, right? Maybe, oh my gosh, you're not making enough money. Who's going to buy this stuff? And we tell ourselves that, but then listening to other people say that, as opposed to, wow, I made a sale today. Oh, someone left me a review and they said that they really love this thing. And wow, people really love me posting a video of how I make it, right? That's the gain. And creating that momentum from that gain is what gets you going, as opposed to staying stuck in that gap. And listen, our spouses, our friends, our parents, they're the people that we desire the most acceptance with, and we value their opinion. And her husband, ultimately, and this is what I said to her, your husband loves you. He's trying to protect you. That's the main reason. But it's really important to live in your own opinions first before you go asking for validation outside of yourself. And that's one of the things that many people forget.
Is that a difficult journey for many people to go through and come out successful on the other end?
Ah, 100%. 100%. I look even at the flip side of that coin, right? I started my business 3 years ago, and my husband, he's part of the business. He is the person that does the podcast editing and our full right now. We have a full podcasting production company, and he's very supportive of everything I do. However, there's a lot of times that as a business owner, I have this vision, I have this plan, and I will say, "Hey, I'm going to do XYZ for the business." Like, "Oh, I don't know." And I value his opinion, but I have to remember that what is my vision? What are the things that I want to go forward? And I have a full picture. And for as much as I try to explain it to others, it's not until someone, and even as close as he is being involved in the business, will get that full perspective. So listen to that little voice. Surround yourself with people. And by the way, when my husband will say, "Oh, that's crazy, don't do that," I'll say, "Okay, I'll take that into account." But then I'll go back to people who have done what I want to do. And I say, "Hey, I want to do this, and this is how I want to do it. What do you think?" And not to say that somebody else's opinion is more valuable than my husband, but somebody else's experience where he doesn't have that experience. It's more valuable. Now, if I'm trying to build a rocket ship, if I'm trying to test materials in aerospace, I'm going to go to my husband because that's what he does in his real world, right? Because I have no idea about that. So again, the experience of somebody who has done it as opposed to the opinion to someone who loves you and is trying to protect you and may not know how to do what you're trying to do. It's something that you have to weigh in, and it's different for everybody.
So I guess sometimes the first step is to understand the type of support that you're getting and realizing that the person may love you, it just may not be their cup of tea. Or sometimes they may not even know the type of support that you want,
Yeah.
right? Because I know for me, what I wanted ultimately from the people around me is just I just wanted them to wish me the best. They didn't have to follow, they didn't have to watch,
Mhm.
didn't have to do anything. As long as they were appreciative of the journey, I think that
Yeah.
was sufficient for me. Julie, what are some of the ways that maybe we can identify in our journey that's going to make us happy that we want to share with those other people who we love so much?
This is an excellent question. With things that we can share with the people that we love so much, let's celebrate wins and celebrate and say, "Hey, this is a big win for me," right? I know that it may not seem like it, but I would love for you to celebrate this with me. I think that if we start to really ask for what we want, right? Hey, I know you don't get it, but I would love if you share what I'm doing with somebody else because maybe somebody else who needs what I have will leverage it. I think that's one of the first steps. The other thing that we're not very good at is holding space for others and asking others to hold space. And holding space, if you've never heard this term, this is something that the first time I heard, I'm like, what the heck is that? What do you mean hold space? I don't get it. Um, and then the more that I started to kind of like delve into this concept, I'm like, oh, okay. So for instance, if my husband's I'll give you a prime example. My husband came to me and he said, I am going to build a new computer because we do a lot of video editing and podcast editing. He's like, I need something that processes faster. Now, I don't know anything about building a computer. And the computer he currently has is a computer that he built himself. And he calls it the beast because it's got like a lot of capabilities. I just know that when he built that computer, there were a lot of computer parts in my living room. And it was like kind of like the takeover. So when he told me about this computer for what he wants to do, for what he's going to do for the business, for what he's going to do for what he's able to do, I all I saw is like, we already have a computer that works. It's going to be a mess that you're going to build this new thing. It's going to be an investment of money. So I'm looking at it. So I realized that rather than poo-pooing what he was doing, I needed to hold space for him. And I said, you know what? Do you think that that's the best thing? That's what you need? He's like, yes. I said, well, great. I support you 100%. And then I closed my mouth and I just gave him the space to do what he needs to do, what he feels is best. And whether the outcome, because we haven't had an outcome, right? We don't have a new computer, whether the outcome is good or bad, then holding space will be just being supportive and allowing that person to do what they need to do. And for many of us, we think that we need to say, "Oh, I told you so," or "Oh, I'm sorry, it didn't go bad. I knew it wouldn't go that well, right?" But just hold space. You don't have to say the same thing. I see a lot of times that we go through grief, and when people lose an important person in their life, we immediately want to fix it. We immediately want to say the right words. And sometimes we don't think we have the right words. So therefore, we don't even address it with the person. And we kind of like don't talk about it and sort of taboo. where that person is not looking for the right words. That person is just looking for you to be next to them and say, hey, if you ever need to talk, I'm here. I know you're hurting today. I know this is hard. That's holding space for somebody. That's just being there, letting them know that you see them.
I think sometimes with the grief process is we fall to our default, right? I'm
Hmm.
here for you.
Yeah.
It's going to work out, but we don't actually, sometimes they come across as hollow words because there isn't
Yeah.
the passion, the energy behind it. And, or better yet, as you put, to hold space for that person. Um, because as I look around me, where I am in Toronto, Canada, and I see a lot of people suffering, and I see a lot of people who
Mm,
can use a conversation like you described,
yeah.
because many times there's people who they're suffering, they know they have to get through it,
Yeah.
but they just
Absolutely.
want someone there to say, Julie, you will get through it because I'm going to
Yes.
help you get through it together. Is that the type of conversation that is missing?
I think so. And I think that for many people, um, we're always looking to have the perfect words. And we got to remember that perfect words is not a reality. We have to have genuine and authentic words. And the authenticity and the genuine feeling and support for someone is always going to be better than having the perfect words. And by the way, let's get those feelings translated into action as well. You see someone struggling, then what is their need? Is it the mom that maybe is working two jobs and maybe needs a babysitter? Or maybe the entrepreneur that is just busy running their business and has kids and has a job as well. Maybe you come over and you say, hey, how about I help you with a little bit of housework, right? That just putting action is also very important. And, we question, well, how much money can I donate? How much time do I have? Sometimes it has nothing to do with the money or the time. Maybe sometimes it has to be with you just saying, I'm here for you. Let me know what you need. What can I do?